Welcome to LA, where the poker is fast and furious. The race is on to crown a legend tonight on the World Poker Tour.
The World Poker Tour is a series of international poker tournaments featuring the biggest games, the greatest players, and the largest payouts on the planet. Tonight in Hollywood, 6 players battle it out for $3.3 million. In the City of Stars, legends are made and fortunes are won here on the World Poker Tour.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the World Poker Tour. We're at the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles, California for the Legends of Poker Tournament. I'm Mike Sexton.
And I'm Vince Grant-Patton. And, Mike, we talk about legends. Well, it seems like each tournament, a new legend is made on the World Poker Tour.
Well, Vince, you almost had to be a legend just to survive this field. 667 players entered this event in hopes of capturing that first-place prize of well over $1 million, plus get that coveted $25,000 entry into the WPT Championship, which could be worth millions more.
Well, what a field it was, going after the big cash. But the final 6 here, we got the hottest poker player in the world up against the Pope of Poker. That's right, Doyle Brunson. He has made it to the final table.
It is going to be exciting, Vince. We are down to our final 6, and this final table has the makings of being a legendary final table.
We are in LA, where Hollywood meets poker. Let's go down and meet the players.
On the short stack in seat number 6 is Grant Helling. Grant is a 39-year-old electrical contractor from Chicago, Illinois. He won a satellite to get in this tournament. He's only been playing poker for 2 years. Grant will be starting out today with $215,000 in chips.
All right, now also sitting on a short stack with $272,000 is Tom Lee. Now, this man was born in Vietnam, currently living in Denver. He's a former helicopter pilot and a very solid player.
In 4th chip position, we have a Cinderella story in the making. It's 24-year-old Pete Lawson from Sandy, Utah. Pete also won a satellite to get in this tournament, and he'll be starting out today with just over $1 million in chips.
Okay, next is Joe Awada. Now with $1,064,000 in chips. Joe's coming off a big win at the World Series. He's also the president of a Las Vegas company that creates poker games for casinos. He's a very aggressive player who definitely deserves the respect of his opponents here tonight.
And in 2nd chip position with $1.6 million in chips is a living legend in the poker world. He is the man, Texas Dolly Doyle Brunson. He's a member of the WPT Walk of Fame, the Poker Hall of Fame, and Vince, as you know, Doyle will be the big crowd favorite here today.
You bet. Now let's watch and learn today. Now our chip leader is on a huge hot streak, Lee Watkinson. He just finished 2nd in the WPT Mirage Poker Showdown, and he is back at a WPT final table. He's got $2.4 million in chips. Now he has a reputation for keeping stone cold and very quiet, and we'll see if that tactic helps him pull out a win here at the bike.
All right, folks, it's time for Vince's picks. Vinny, what do you got for us tonight?
All right, Mike, here we go again. You know, the chip leader, Lee Watkinson, he has a ton of chips. You know, he looks like the mild-mannered banker. Don't let that fool you. He is a piranha, a cutthroat. He's even money.
Well, Vinny, my pick tonight is going to be old school, the living legend, Doyle Brunson, my pick to win.
Very good. I'm going to take Lee Watkinson. We bet I told you so. Let's see who's going to win this thing. Let's go down to the felt.
For 10 and 20,000. Go ahead, shuffle up and deal.
All these players started out with $10,000 in chips, and the structure today we're starting out with is a $2,000 ante. Blinds are 10 and 20,000.
And of course, we are playing No Limit Texas Hold'em, the game that can make you or break you. 2 cards in your hand, 5 community cards in the middle to make your best 5-card poker hand.
Well, it's only appropriate that first action is going to be on the living legend himself, Doyle Brunson.
With the great cowboy hat, he's going to throw away a Jack-7. Lee Watkinson looks down at an Ace-7 of clubs.
Now, Lee Watkinson, our chip leader, he's going to fire here with the Ace-7 of clubs. He bets $50,000.
Now Pete Lawson, the kid, throws away King-3.
Now look at this. Tom Lee has 2 8s. Snowmen on the button here. He's going to call the $50,000, Vince.
Joe quickly goes out with Jack-4. Grant Helling going out. So 2-way action on the first hand. Ace-7 versus a pair of 8s.
Here comes the flop. The flop is King, Queen, 6.
Does not help Lee Watkinson.
Look at this. What's going to help him is that stack of chips right there. He fires out 100,000.
Tom quickly going out.
Well, you just can't call with 2-8s when there's 2 overcards out there and your opponent raises before the flop, especially if you're on a short stack. Folks, you're seeing the power of chips and the power of betting in No Limit Hold'em right here on Hand 1 at the Legends of Poker.
Well, Lee Watkinson is known as a very solid, tight player, but we know better. I mean, this guy mixes up his game, a lot of bluffing. This guy knows what he's doing.
Well, action's on Lee right here. Looks at the Jack-5 and folds.
All right, now the young player, Pete Lawson, not going to play with 9-5.
Look at this. Tom Lee, who lost the last pot, bets 100,000 with a Jack-7.
Well, this could be out of frustration, a little makeup raise here.
And Joe Wada folds.
Grant Helen going out. Doyle quickly going out as well.
So there you have it. Tom Lee, he's out to get his money back right away there, Vince, and he did so.
Former helicopter pilot, now a real estate broker, looking very happy right now.
That wasn't a big secret.
Well, we knocked the only guy out that had personality that had any color, Paul. The rest of us went to...
Well, Doyle's talking about Paul Phillips, who finished 7th in this event. He was runner-up here a year ago and then later won a World Poker Tour event.
Table captain.
Right now it's going to be on Tom Lee. He has gone out.
Joe Wada folds.
Now it's on to Grant Helling. He is folded.
Around to Doyle. He's got 2 3s on the button, raises it, comes in for 50,000.
Why not? Right behind him, Lee Watkinson throws away 9-7 of hearts.
Yeah, very interesting there.
Pete Lawson going out. That's going to do it for Doyle. He's taking this pot. He had a nice ovation for Doyle Brunson. So far, this game is as tight as a Joan Collins facelift. You bet, and they go out.
Action's on Grant Helling here.
He throws away his hand at 9-5. Dolly Parton.
It's on Doyle. He lays down ace-5.
Motown for Lee Watkinson, Jack-5. He's going to chuck it.
Here we go. Pete Lawson's picked up a nice hand on the button here, a pair of 10s.
Bingo, a good solid hand.
He's in good position, got a nice hand, and he is going to raise it. Comes in for 55,000.
Tom quickly going out.
Joe Wada just has an 8-deuce offsuit in the big blind here.
A horrifically bad hand.
Look at this. He's going to raise it. That's 100,000.
He's going to gamble it up.
Suspecting larceny by Pete Lawson. Joe's coming over the top with absolutely nothing here, folks.
And it's back on Pete.
I raise.
But look, Pete is going to re-raise, and folks, that's a dagger in the heart to poor Joe there.
2 of the worst words in the world when you try to attempt to bluff. You hear the other guy say, I raise.
Oh, it's
just
horrible.
It's a paper cut to the pinky right now.
Folks, it's like you're speeding down the highway and you look in the rearview mirror and see the siren.
25 more.
200.
Poor Pete has put the badge on him here.
Oh, boy.
Raise at 225,000 more.
Minor disaster here for Mr. Wada.
Maybe I made a little mistake here.
Yeah, you made a big mistake, Joe.
Oh, you can say that again.
I think I did. That's the part I need.
But in the meantime, he's staring over at Pete, trying to represent that he did have a hand just because he re-raised there.
Pete.
Joe has a ton of chips, though, in front of him. He wants to keep the charade going.
Well, maybe he just wants to torture his man a little bit.
I don't think you could torture this Pete. Look at him. He's the kind of guy that looks like he tortures other people.
Now, folks, he's just trying to get some airtime here. We know that because we can see his card.
Okay, man. You got it. Good hand.
Oh, okay, he's going to give it up. There you go.
He does lay it down
That
there.
was
But,
big of Joe.
you know, you got to like the fact that he re-raised out of the big blind with nothing, though, Vance. You know, it shows me he's got some game here, this guy.
And you know what? It shows me that that young kid, 24 years old, he's tough.
My name is Pete Lawson. I learned how to play poker in Clinton, Mississippi. A lot of my success comes from mystery. I flipped over hands where people like, you're raising me with that. 80% of my chips have come from playing position, playing strong.
So Pete Lawson taking a nice pot there.
And even Joe smiles.
We'll be right back with more action from the Legends of Poker here on the World Poker Tour.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. We are at the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles, California for the Legends of Poker.
It is great so far. We still have 6 players remaining, and Lee Watkinson is our chip leader with close to $2.5 million.
But right on his heels in second place with over $1.6 million, the poker legend himself, Texas Dolly Doyle Brunson.
And it is going to be on our chip leader, Lee. He looks down at an ace-6 offsuit.
Folds it in first position. Pete quickly folds.
Now Tom Lee with an ace-10 offsuit, he's going up.
Yep, he's going to make it $50,000 to go.
I called.
And Joe Awada quickly calls with king-queen.
Trying to get through that last humiliation. He has called his hand. Grant Helling going to lay down at 8-5.
Action's on Doyle Brunson now. Remember, he's in the big blind for $20,000. Cost him $30,000 more to call. He folds the 10-4 club. So here we go. Two-way action. Tom Lee with ace-10. Joe Awada with king-queen.
Here's the flop.
Flop queen 9-7. A great flop for Joe here.
Yes, he's hit his pair of queens.
Well, action's on Tom. He checks.
I'm all in.
Joe Awada is going to go all in with this.
Well, he's moved all in for over $900,000 in chips, but in essence, he's only betting the $150,000 that Tom has.
Tom quickly folds his hand. You're right, but you know the all-in sounds so much more devastating.
I'll tell you one thing about him, Vince. He is fun to watch at the poker table. He has got some moves. He's action-oriented, and he's not afraid to gamble.
My name is Yahya Awada. People call me Joe. I was born in Beirut, Lebanon. No limit. There's so much excitement in it. You are catching hands, but I'm still ahead of you. An hour or 2 hours of doing nothing, the 2 minutes of terror is just worth it.
Joe Awada has 6 kids. He may need this million more than the rest of them, Vince. You got 6 kids. You know how that is. But he's got their pictures sitting out in front of him on the table tonight to bring him luck.
That is great. That makes you dig down just a little bit more. Back into action. Joe Awada showing his stuff.
All right, action's going to be on Tom Lee.
Originally from Vietnam, Tom Lee throwing away 9-4 offsuit.
Back to Joe. He folds. Grant Helling on the short stack now with only about $130,000 has an ace high here.
It's been quiet tonight so far.
He also folds this hand.
Back to the great Doyle Brunson, the Babe Ruth of poker. This time he's got queen jack of diamonds.
Well, on the button in position, raise it to $60,000.
Lee quickly going out. Pete Lawson, he's got a pair of 3s. Little wired pair, not bad.
Does he want to tangle with Doyle here?
40 more to me.
40,000 more to him. He's going to call it. Well, here we go. It's age versus youth, experience versus inexperience.
So Doyle Brunson has played more poker hands than this kid's had hot meals.
Oh, you didn't raise it?
You're right, Vince. Doyle was on the road in Texas playing in games 20 years before this kid was born.
Here comes the flop.
The flop is ace-10-7 with 2 diamonds. Doyle Brunson has flopped a royal flush draw.
Oh, yeah. Big hand on the come.
Well, Pete's quickly checked. You know Doyle's going to bet this hand. He comes out and bets 80,000.
Get Pete to quickly fold his hand.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. I got away from that one.
You remember this one.
Vince, you've got to tip your Stetson to Doyle Brunson. We started out 4 days ago with a record field of 667 players. At 71 years old, this guy's battled through this field all the way down to this final table. That is amazing.
When it comes to poker legends, Doyle Brunson wrote the book. For over 5 decades, Doyle has dominated the game. However, this year is different.
I think I played harder in this tournament than I have in a long time because I kind of feel like I've got something to prove. I'm on the verge of having my first losing year. These tournaments are grueling, man. I'm telling you, we started getting 600 or 700 players. I haven't got to bed, I think, till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm 71 years old, so, you know, it's questionable.
Doyle does have a reputation to uphold. His book, Super System, is considered to be poker's Bible.
Doyle's book pretty much tells you what you need to know about playing No Limit Hold'em. It's a great book.
I've read Doyle's book. I learned that he doesn't practice what he preaches.
Well, that's because times have changed. I mean, the players are different. They're a lot more knowledgeable. You can't push them around like you used to. In Super System 1, I advocated really pushing people around, and you can't do that to these kids, you know. They always think I'm bluffing. They never think I have anything. Nothing absolute about poker because you have to adjust your style to what the other guys are doing. You just kind of do what you feel like. At least that's the way I do it. I don't consider myself to be any kind of celebrity. I'm a poker player.
Well, he's such a huge part of this game.
Get broke on.
Exploding like it is right now. He's got to be real proud of that.
Yeah, these are the hands that get you in trouble.
That's right, exactly right.
Well, Joe Watt is proud of his hand right here. He's got two jacks.
Go back to the 75 bet that has been good for me. So.
And he's going to raise it to 75,000.
Grant Helling quickly going out with 10 deuce. Doyle's not going to mess around with ace 7.
Lee Watkinson with a 5-4 folds his hand.
Pete Lawson throwing away jack 10.
Now around to Tom Lee in the big blind. He's got a pair of 9s here.
Oh, he's got a legitimate pair here.
Well, he doesn't have many chips, Vince. He's got about 150,000 left. Because of the WPT cam, we can see that it's 2 jacks versus 2 9s, but in Tom's mind, there's so much at stake here. The guy going out in 6th place gets almost 100,000, but the winner, remember, gets 1.2 million. Every decision critical.
Well, he's got trouble. He is IHOP right now, short stacked. Early on, he had a pair of 8s, didn't raise with them. It backfired. Now, what's he going to do with these 9s?
Notice that Joe Watt is taking all this in here. The longer Tom takes to act, the more confidence Joe's going to have. Those 2 jacks are absolutely the best hand.
Joe Awada breathing down his neck there on his left.
And you see his dilemma. Emotionally, he's wearing it on his face.
Too much stress there, Tom. Come on.
He
now.
is going to call it.
Now, he's short stacked. He didn't go over the top. Lucky for him, he's going to see a flop.
Tom has less than 100,000 left now.
He is very close to meeting that great bluffer in the sky. If he doesn't pull this one out, of course.
Well, is he going to get lucky? Here comes a flop. Flop is King 8-7. Action is on, Tom. He's going all in. He's going to hope his 9s are the best hand.
Joe's too good for that. He's made this call. It's a very good call.
Yes, it is. Joe Awada calls him. And right now, Tom Lee is going to have to catch a 9 or 2 running cards to make a straight, or he will be our 6th place finisher.
Oh. But he needs some help here. Here's the turn.
Well, an ace comes on the turn. That means Tom Lee must catch a 9 to stay alive in this tournament.
A couple outs in the deck. River card coming up.
It's a deuce. He doesn't do it.
No, it is over.
So there you have it. The real estate developer from Denver, Colorado is going to go home in 6th place. But a fine effort this week, Vince. He takes home nearly $100,000 for this week's work.
A great attempt, a good guy, but he has to walk away into the darkness of the Bicycle Casino here in Los Angeles.
And Joe Awada, the juggler, didn't drop the balls on that hand. 5 players remain. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more action from the Legends of Poker in just a moment.
Unless I have aces, I'm folding.
In a 6-handed game, you're dealt pocket kings. What are the odds your opponent has aces?
I got a question.
A devastating circumstance for Rick. Aces versus kings.
In a 6-handed game, you're dealt pocket kings. What are the odds your opponent has aces?
You got aces? Kings.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. We're in Hollywood, California at the Bicycle Casino, where the action has been fast and furious.
That is right, Mike. And you know what? The winner's going to take home over $1 million. Let's see where the players stand right now.
Make it work.
The hottest poker player on the circuit right now, Lee Watkinson, has $2.5 million. Right behind him, the great Doyle Brunson with about 1.7.
Well, action's on Grant Helling here. He's going to have to make a move fast, Vince. And he folds an ace.
Around to Doyle Brunson, who's picked up his hand, Mike. 10 deuce offsuit. And he's going to raise with it.
Well, he has a special fondness for this hand.
Oh. Lee Watkinson quickly going out.
Now action on the youngster once again. Pete Lawson on the button with ace 8.
There is no intimidation in his game. He has called this.
He calls the 50,000.
But look at this. Joe Owada picks up the Gabor sisters, the pair of queens, and he goes over the top all in.
Not going to fool around with Doyle or Pete here.
What should I do, Mike?
There it is. Look at this.
What should I do?
Is he allowed to get
Doyle is showing us the 10 deuce.
Doyle, you don't need my help here, my man.
Gives us a little thrill. He throws it away.
Not that Doyle needs it anyway.
Well, Pete folds.
And that's going to work there for Joe Owada taking that pot.
Now, in poker, two-card hands are known for something or someone. They all have names. The 10 deuce in the poker world is known as the Doyle Brunson. That's because he captured the world title using those exact two cards on the last pot of poker 2 consecutive years. He is very fond of that hand, plays it every time he gets it.
Here we go again. It's going to be on our chip leader, Lee Watkinson. He looks down at the Gretzky hand, 99, pair of nines.
Yeah. He's going to raise with him. Comes in for 60,000. Pete folds.
Now it's back to Joe Owada. He's got a little wide pair of deuces here.
Well, he's been on a roll here, so he's going to play these two ducks. He calls the 60,000.
Grant Helling throws away 8-5. Junk hand.
Now Doyle Brunson with the queen 10 of diamonds. Cost him 40,000 more to call. There's 160,000 out there. No one can raise behind him, remember. And he's going to call. So here we go. Three-way action between the three chip leaders. Here comes the flop. Flop is 9-8-7 of hearts.
Lee has flopped a set of nines. And Doyle actually has an open-ended straight draw.
Well, Doyle checks.
Into Lee.
And Lee checks.
Joe with the deuces checks as well. We're going to see a turn.
7 of diamonds.
It's paired the board. Lee has a full house here. Doyle checks it. And Lee is going to set the trap. He has checked this as well.
Well, he's checking, hoping somebody bets at this pot.
Very tempting, gentlemen. Very tempting. I check.
But Joe checks also. Here we go to the river.
River card coming up, and it's a deuce.
It is a deuce.
Oh, potential disaster for Joe. He has a small full house here.
Well, Doyle checks.
And Lee Watkinson, that little snake, checking this hand down. Finally, looks like he's going to come out to play here.
He has nines full of sevens, remember. Let's see what Lee's going to bet here. He's going for his chips. This is going to spell trouble for Joe Owada. What's going to be the damage? It's 150,000 to him.
Lee wants to get paid off just a little bit. How can you resist not raising? You got deuces full.
That's very good for the concentration. Thank you. All in. I'm okay.
He's going to go all in with it.
Oh, Vince.
Doyle's quickly out.
And Lee says, I call.
It's over now for Joe Owada.
Yes, it is. Just that fast.
He has been outfoxed by Lee. He is out of here in 5th place.
Well, it was going so good for him, Vince, but he made one critical error, and it cost him. He is out.
He is a great player. He'll pick up $132,000 for his efforts. He is absolutely stunned.
Yep. Congratulations.
Oh, but give credit to Lee. Checking, giving free cards. He let his man catch a hand, and he trapped him.
I never thought he'd be the next one out.
We are down to 4 at the Bicycle Casino.
Yeah, Vince, and in my opinion, Joe Owada, the juggler, dropped the balls on that last hand. Let's go back and take a critical replay look at this hand. Remember, the flop came 9-8-7 of hearts.
That made a set for Lee Watkinson. He checks it.
Now, everybody checked on the flop, and when the board paired sevens on the turn, Lee checked again in hopes that one of these guys would bluff at the pot. Neither did so.
Very tempting, John. Very tempting. I check.
He checks it, but then the miracle happened. The deuce on the river hits Joe Owada's small full boat.
Now, Lee bets $150,000, and it's at this point, in my view, that Joe Owada vastly overplays his hand.
All in. I'm all in.
He moves all in for over $1 million more. No one's going to call that raise unless they can beat deuces full.
Well, he's a fast gambling kind of player. This time it backfires. He is our 5th place finisher.
He was taking a chance with playing it like that. I couldn't put him on a set of nines and not betting it with 3 hearts out there. So, for me to put them on a set and slow playing it, let one of us catch up with another heart would have been crazy.
Well, we're going to take a little break. We got crazy action here in LA. Stay tuned. We'll be right back from the World Poker Tour. Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. We are at the Bicycle Casino, and we are down to 4. Back into action. 667 players started this event. And we've got the superstar Doyle Brunson going at it against Lee Watkinson. Still out in front. He's got close to $4 million right now.
Grant Helling with his short stack hadn't played a pot yet and still alive. 2 guys gone.
He goes out. Now it's on Doyle. He's got Jack 6 of clubs this time.
On the button. He's going to raise it. Makes it $50,000 to go.
The button being the best position in Hold'em poker. Lee Watkinson with King Jack of spades. Looks like he's interested. He's called.
And now it's $30,000 more to Pete, and he looks at 4-3 of diamonds.
Little suited connector.
Well, no one can raise behind him.
Tempting hand.
Well, nearly $130,000 in the pot. I'd call here for $30,000 more. Because he's getting such good pot odds, he is going to call it. So 3-way action between the chip leaders, and Grant Helling loving this, hoping somebody else will go broke.
Grant who?
The flop is 10-9-8. So Lee's flopped open in straight draw and checks. Pete has nothing. He has a 4 and a 3. He checks, and Doyle with an open in straight draw also checks.
Lots of checking going on here. Here's the turn.
Well, it's a 10 of diamonds, giving Pete a flush draw. Well, action is on Lee. Lee is going to bet $100,000 at this. He gave him a chance to bet before. Neither player did.
Well, he senses a little weakness. Now the kid's picked up 4 to the flush and a crick in his neck.
You have me covered?
You have me covered. He says about 4-fold there, Pete.
A little sarcasm. Enjoying the moment here on the World Poker Tour. He throws it away. Now it's on Doyle, and he's not going to play around.
So there you have it, folks. Lee Watkinson showing off his tournament skills, betting and picking up that pot.
Lee Watkinson, our major chip leader, just taking control.
Good job, Dan.
Now Mike, our own Shauna Hyatt, hit the floors trying to figure out how to play big-time poker in tournaments in this week's Poker Corner.
Tournament poker is a special animal. Unlike a cash game where you can reach in your pocket for more money, when your chips are gone, so are you.
Oh, I wish I'd have played my hand.
Playing in a tournament, you make one mistake, that could be the end of you.
Oh!
It's about survival.
Here we go. Come on, baby. One time.
While poker is a game of cards, tournament poker is a game of chips.
Every hand you put your chips in could be the defining hand. So you want to take extra care, more so in a tournament than you would in a cash game.
Take my chips, but they can't take my hope.
The size of your stack definitely changes the way you play. If you have a short stack, it's easier to play because you only have one decision to make. Are you going to go all in or not?
I was going to say all in to keep that streak.
If you have a lot of chips, someone else has a lot of chips, you got to really play poker.
You have to think ahead.
You have to think several hands ahead.
One key is you don't want to necessarily get involved with people who have more chips than you. Because if you lose that pot, you're out.
Always want to know if I raise here and then there's a bet on the flop, is the next raise going to be all in?
Now that you're paying attention to your chips, it's time to start trapping your opponents.
There's a lot of different things you can do. You slow play, you play fast, you check raise.
All of a sudden, you're like, hey, look at this. I just flopped the nuts, and there's 3 people to act, and that guy's really hungry to put his chips in. You can taste it. How about I just check, and let's see what happens. And then the fireworks go.
So remember, to survive, be the trapper while watching your chips, and you could become the new king of this jungle.
The key to surviving in a tournament is not going broke.
Well, 4 remain at the Bicycle Casino. We are playing the great game of No Limit Texas Hold'em, the game that can make you or break you. 2 cards in your hand, 5 community cards in the middle to make your best 5-card poker hand.
Well, Vince, the great thing about No Limit Hold'em is that it doesn't matter how many chips you have, your heart is always pounding at that table when your chips go all in the pot.
Well, the hottest poker player on the circuit, Lee Watkinson, with chips, looks down at a suited connector of 5-4 diamonds.
He's going to raise with this in early position. Comes in for 60,000.
Pete Lawson, 10-9 offsuit.
He is on the button.
That's the best position in poker.
Now, does he want to gamble here?
I raise.
And he's going to raise it.
He is going to raise it, folks, with a 10-9 offsuit here against the chip leader.
60. Where's the 60? 70 more.
Well, I find this fascinating. He's only going to raise at 70,000, Vince.
Now, Grant Helling, who's basically disappeared into this final table, has not had much action. He's going to throw away Queen 5.
Doyle lays down ace-8 out of the big blind.
Right back on Lee with his suited connector.
Now, it's only a $70,000 raise, remember. There's over 220,000 in the pot. And Lee's going to call this raise. He's going to hope to get lucky on the flop here.
Here we go with the flop.
Oh, flop is 8-6-3 with 2 diamonds. This gives Lee a flush draw and an open-end straight draw.
And he has checked it. See if Pete Lawson is going to bite here.
Well, he raised before the flop. He does have a gut shot straight draw. And he's going to bet 130,000.
Yes, he is. He's going to push it.
Now, Lee has what we call a powerful drawing hand here. And Lee's going to come over the top for all his chips here. He's going to put the kid to the test for all his money.
He is not playing around.
And now Pete, with his gut shot straight draw, is not feeling very good at the moment, folks.
No, he started this hand with close to $1 million.
Well, right now he's wishing, why didn't I check on this flop? I might have hit that 7 and made that straight. This is just great power poker by what we call a semi-bluff. Lee has nothing at the moment, but he has a big drawing hand. So even if his opponent calls, there's a lot of cards he can catch to win this pot.
Look at Pete just studying Lee, trying to get something off of him. But he is a human pylon. You will not get anything on Lee Watkinson.
Well, it's going to cost Pete all his money to call here. You can't imagine him doing that with a gut shot straight draw, especially with a potential flush on the board. Well, there you have it. The check raise over the top play works for Lee Watkinson. And he took the kid to school on that hand, man.
I cannot believe. Always in L.A. at the Bicycle Club. It's always fast and furious. This is just incredible.
Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back with more exciting action from the Legends of Poker at the Bicycle Casino on the World Poker Tour in just a moment.
I call. You got me. Yeah. Hey. You ruined it. You did it.
You know, America found out what I've known for 50 years, you know, what a great game that poker is. And it's just taken off in popularity.
Everyone comes in here wanting to know where our no limit section is so they can play the game that they watched last night.
Every year they get more and more people, thanks to the World Poker Tour.
Currently, we're running 10 to 12 no-limit games on a daily basis. The no-limit games are located where my office used to be.
We were busting out of the seams. We literally had to knock out the walls to put in a bigger section. No limit hold'em at the bike. There's an energy, a palpable energy on the floor that I just love. You can feel it when you walk in the room.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. We are at the Legends of Poker, where our chip leader who started the day, Lee Watkinson, has padded his lead. He is in total command of this final table, Vince.
He is rolling over these guys. And one of them is the godfather of poker, Doyle Brunson. Can it continue? Here we go. It's going to be right back on the chip leader, Lee. He's got Queen 7 this time.
Well, known as the computer hand, he folds. Pete quickly folds his hand.
Grant Helling, the mystery man.
Oh, look at this, Vince. He's going all in here. Hello, Dolly, he says.
The Phantom coming out of the woods with Queen 10. And now Doyle shows his 10 deuce, the Doyle Brunson hand, and lays it down.
Well, one thing about the Doyle Brunson hand, it's the kind of hand you have to raise with, Vince. You can't be calling an all-in bet with it, that's for sure.
Keep hitting me with that hand.
How about Doyle having the 10 deuce twice today? His particular hand, this time he doesn't waste any money on it. But Grant Henley, and I was beginning to call him Casper the Friendly Ghost because we knew he was at the table, but we just did not see him.
I'm Grant Helling. I'm from the west suburbs of Chicago, and I'm an electrical contractor. You can't be intimidated by any person's play or status. If you don't know how to act and you don't know how to hide your emotions, they will beat you all the time.
I'll say this, he does have patience.
Well, good point, Vince. He's moved up over $70,000 in real money. 2 guys been eliminated so far. But if you want to win this tournament, you got to play pots.
But he is still on the short stack. Here we go again. Pete Lawson throws away a jack-6 immediately.
Look at this. Here's Grant going back-to-back all-ins here. This time he has ace-3 of hearts. I don't blame him at all for going all in here against the blinds.
Good time for a rush. He gets Doyle to lay down his hand. Now it's on Lee. Lee's got a dismal little 9-8 offsuit.
So they're taking.
Well, he's scratching his chin. He says, "Take in that money. See how much more it cost me." It's going to cost him $115,000 more to call this bet. But Vince, he's sitting in front of $4.4 million, so another $100,000 doesn't seem like that much.
And he's going to try to put him out of his misery. He is going to gamble here with Grant Helling.
I know Doyle's got to head back to Vegas.
Well, you got to love it if you're Grant. You know, you've got to get in there and play some pots to win sometime. Here he's almost a 3-2 favorite to win this pot. You got to like this position, Vince.
Well, he is the short stack, but there's a little momentum going on now for Grant.
Well, let's see if he can do it. Let's see if the ace high will hold up.
Can he double up? He's got his fans out here. Here we go with the flop.
The flop is 10-6-3.
That is good for Grant. He has a pair of threes at this point. He's out in front.
Well, this gives Lee an inside straight draw. A 7 would win the pot for him. An 8 or a 9 would give him the lead. He needs a 7, 8, or a 9 right now. Oh, a 9 he catches. Now, what this means is Grant Helling must catch an ace or 3, or he is going to be our 4th place finisher.
Grant just standing there absolutely stunned. He's got to sweat this out.
No, he got very nice.
Well, here we go to the river.
Will he be our 4th place finisher, or will he double up?
Grant needs an ace or a 3 to stay alive. He doesn't get it.
Oh, no. That's going to do it for Grant Helling. The chip leader, Lee Watkinson, walking over to him, shaking hands.
Good to meet you, sir. Nice game.
He has put this man out of this event.
Just an amazing week for Grant Helling. He only started playing poker 2 years ago, won a satellite to get in this event. He picked up over $170,000 in cash for his performance here this week.
What does it feel like down there with everybody going out so quickly?
I didn't think that would happen. I thought that I would be annied and blinded down.
Yeah.
And or I was going to catch a few hands, which I needed, but it doesn't always happen.
Well, Vince, it just doesn't get any better than this. We've got the Cinderella story and 24-year-old Pete Lawson, who won a satellite the day before this event started to even play in this tournament. He's up against the terror on the World Poker Tour right now, Lee Watkinson, who finished runner-up last week, the major chip leader today, and also at this table, the living legend himself, Doyle Brunson. Folks, this is the Legends of Poker.
You are so right, and right now it's right back on. The godfather of poker, Doyle, he throws away a 10-4 quickly.
And Lee Watkinson picking up big slick. Ace-king here in a small blind. A big hand.
60.
He's going to raise it to 60,000.
Pete Lawson looks down at ace-7. He's gone all in with it.
And Lee Watkinson quickly calls without hesitation.
Oh, this could be it. Devastation very close for the young kid.
Well, Pete made his move with ace-7. He's up against ace-king, and right now, the Cinderella story is going to come to a close unless he can get very lucky and win this pot.
He is really up against it.
Show up with a hand like that.
It's like a cold deck.
5 cards to come. Here we go with a flop.
Well, here it comes.
Oh, he gets it.
Look at this, 7-6 deuce.
Spikes the 7. He's out in front with a pair of 7s. He would double up against Lee.
Well, he sits back down because he knows it's not over.
Two more
He's still
cards.
got to dodge a king or two running clubs.
Oh, he is shocked by his own luck here. Oh, he's going to go into the sweating pose. He cannot believe
He
it.
knows how lucky he's gotten so far, but he also knows it's not over.
No, but he can't even stand to look at this. Look at, he's turned his back.
It's an 8.
He's so far so good.
Now, folks, you don't see this very often. The guy doesn't even want to look when he's a dominating favorite here.
I don't blame
Here we
him.
go to the river. He's got to dodge a king to double up here.
Can't bear to look. The river card coming up.
One card to go.
Don't peek.
It's a jack. He's dodged it.
It's going to hold up for him.
There it is.
You should have been looking at a major heart stop, a jack, you know.
Vince, that was a big pot. 1,336,000 in that pot.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more action on the World Poker Tour.
Welcome back to the final table of the Legends of Poker tournament at the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles. I'm Shauna Hyatt, and here's a recap of the action so far.
The action started early as Joe Iwata put Tom Lee all in. Tom's pocket nines were no match for Joe's jacks. 2 hands later, Lee Watkinson has the nines and turns a full house. Lee slow plays Joe, who catches a boat on the river, but Lee's freighter of nines quickly sinks Joe with his dinghy of 2s. Invisible player Grant Helling shows his face and starts playing his short stack, but quickly gets kicked out. With 3 players left, young Pete Lawson gains strength as he doubles up, thanks to chip leader Lee. But with poker great Doyle Brunson holding on to second chip position, it's going to take more than luck to take home the $1 million first prize.
Here to call the action is our own poker legends, Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour and the Legends of Poker Tournament.
We're at the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles, California, where Hollywood plays poker. Let's get back down to the felt.
So the poker guards are shining on this young pro from Sandy, Utah.
Boy, are they ever. Picking up a pot there of over $1.3 million to make it a 3-horse race again. And Vince, you just have to wonder about Lee Watkinson's mental state of mind right now.
Well, sometimes you can learn by that experience. Let's see if it'll work out for him now.
Well, here he's going to raise it to $60,000 with an ace-10. You can't blame him for doing that on the button.
Pete quickly going out now around to Doyle.
Well, Doyle has king-queen, and he's going to call the raise. So here we go. The 2 chip leaders clashing now.
Ace-10 versus king-queen.
And nice flop for Doyle. It's come king-9-3.
Yeah, he's hit his pair of kings, and he's checked it. He's going to try to lasso his man on his left here to make a bet.
Well, so far it's working. Lee is going to bet this flop. He bets $100,000 at it. Now let's see how Beethoven plays this hand. Is he going to call? Is he going to raise?
The master at work just subtly calls this.
Yep, he's just calling here with the 2 kings. Off we go to 4th Street.
Oh.
Another king on the turn, giving Doyle Brunson 3 kings here.
Party time for this cowboy.
Because of the WPT cam, we can see that Lee Watkinson is drawing dead, as we say. But if you're sitting in Doyle Brunson's seat, Vince, would you want to give him a free card here?
Well, I think it's a good point. You can't play this too tricky. Like the way he takes his time. Nothing impulsive. The master at work. Let's just watch and learn.
Well, folks, you've got to recognize that if Lee had a queen and a jack, or he had 2 hearts in his hand, or he even had a pair of 5s, if Doyle checks this hand, he could give his opponent a free draw to beat him in this pot.
Well, he's not going to do that. He has bet into him.
Yes, he's bet out $300,000. Lee lays it down. Now, certainly, if Doyle knew he was drawing dead, he would have checked there in hopes that Lee keep firing at the pot. But you just can't take that chance, can you, Vince? With so much on the line, do you want to give your opponent a free card to win there?
Pete picks up the button. Doyle small blind. Lee has the.
You know, before this final table started, most of the players were sort of hoping that it was going to come down to Doyle and Lee, because Lee's the hottest guy on the tour. Doyle's a living legend. What a great final that would be for the Legends of Poker. But still, you got this young kid in here, the guy that won a satellite. He's trying to put on the glass slipper. Anybody can win this thing.
No intimidation by this young guy. This time he looks at ace-9. He has the button in front of him.
70.
Look at this. He's going up. He's going to raise this.
Well, in the three-handed game, you can't blame the guy for raising on the button with this hand. He comes in for 70,000.
Doyle quickly going out.
Look at this. Lee Watkinson is going to call him here with 10-6 of clubs. So here we go. A pot between Lee and Pete.
He is going to try to keep this young player honest. Here's our flop.
And flop is 8-8-4 with 2 clubs. Lee has flopped a flush draw and checks.
Pete quickly checks right behind him. Here's the turn.
Well, the turn is a 7 of spade. Now this gives Lee a two-way straight draw. A 5 or a 9 will make him a straight. A club will make him a flush, and he's going to bet, Vince.
Yes, he is on the come. He has lots of outs, though, and he is bet right into Pete.
100,000.
Pete, we know, has really nothing, just ace high.
But look at this. Pete with nothing is going to bet 300,000 here, Vince.
Oh, you got to respect this. It's a tremendous raise on Lee.
Going to see if we can get Lee to lay this hand down.
Oh.
Now remember, Lee has a straight draw and a flush draw.
After a guy that checked after the flop, he could have been trapping with a 3 of a kind. Could have a big pair. This is all going through Lee's mind at this point.
You're right. Because he waited to 4th Street to raise it, generally, the guy's got a stronger hand there.
Lee Watkinson looking a little disgusted at this point.
I raise it.
He is going to re-raise, Vince.
Raising.
Makes it 700,000.
How much, Lee?
I'm just amazed at this bold play.
Oh, and that is just dismal right now
This
for the
is
kid.
astounding poker. And right now, poor Pete Lawson's got to be thinking, what is going on here? I must look like a clock on the wall. This guy can read me plain as day here.
Blinkers go off.
And one of these.
The stomach churns.
Balance.
It's just not fun when this happens to you.
I mean, every single time Pete Lawson's tried to make a play on Lee, it has backfired. The only pot he beat him, he outdrew him when he had ace-7 against ace-king. But he's got to be wondering, wow, how good is this guy?
Now you're just saying to yourself, how do I get away from this with a little self-respect? Can I disappear? Gosh, he made a good attempt and he lays it down.
Just amazing poker you're watching here, folks.
This is why this guy is the hottest poker player on the circuit. Lee Watkinson reading his opponent so well right there.
You got to love the way all 3 of these guys conduct themselves at the table, Vince. They all seem cool, calm, and collected to me, even though you know on the inside their stomachs are doing somersaults.
Well, the guts and the instincts of Lee Watkinson once again just paying off.
Don't worry about it.
Action is on Doyle.
All right, Doyle, fold.
He folds.
Tell me after the show.